Three powerhouses and a movie concept so big, they had to break it into 3 movies.
3 movies.
Today we're talking about the first movie, Wedding Veil Part 1, Something Old, starring... And I'm your host. Really? First off, interesting fact, this movie is based on a book. There Goes the Bride by Lori Wilde, which sign me up for that book club. I thoroughly enjoyed seeing these 3 women together so very much. It's funny, when I think about these Hallmark stars, I just envision them doing this on their own anyway. Just Lacey Chabert, Alison, Sweeney, and Reeser just getting together on a Saturday afternoon to drink rosé and look at a beautiful sunset and just chit chat about their marvelous lives. Like, this is just what I envision anyway. And so actually seeing it on screen was really fun. So the movie starts off with 3 fabulous ladies. They're going antiquing. Apparently they get together once a year and pick a fabulous place and they go shopping, they go out to eat. I'm also envisioning like spa time, maybe a movie, getting their hair blown out and just going out and being fabulous. Something that I would just kill to do. It sounds lovely, it looks lovely. We find out pretty quickly that our main character in this movie is going to be Avery, which, can we talk about Avery's dresses real fast? I went crazy over the dresses. I mean, the dresses. Every 5 minutes, I was like, oh my goodness, another cute dress and another and another. I was just going crazy. She looked so cute throughout the entire movie. Anywho, the ladies end up in an antique shop where they spot this gorgeous antique veil. There's a legend that whoever owns the veil will find true love. Well, Avery's a real romantic at heart, so the other 2 best friends decide to go in on it with her and buy the veil together as a gift for Avery in hopes that she's gonna find the love of her life. I don't know that they really believe that anything will come of it, but they love the artistry of the veil. But Avery decides to sightsee while she's in town before she has to take her flight, and she bumps into Kevin McGarry's Peter Hastings. The man is gorgeous. He's got the eyes, he's got the hair, he's got the leather jacket. However, on their first meeting, I was a little less than impressed. He argues with her over who actually hailed the cab and whose cab it is, and then he calls himself chivalrous. Honey, it ain't chivalry if you have to argue about it first. If you had just let her have the cab, that would have been chivalrous. Right away though, you can see these guys have incredible chemistry. They're walking around a museum, finding all these things that are common between the 2 of them. Then they discover when they go in this garden, which again, sparks flying left and right, they are talking about how they're both from Boston, which is crazy. It's funny too, he's got this Boston accent, which I found slightly distracting. And then there's Avery, who doesn't have an accent at all. And I guess, you know, you don't have to have an accent if you're from Boston, but it was kind of funny that Kevin McGarry went for it and Lacey Chabert did not. I'm really glad that Lacey did not try to do a Boston accent. So this is where the roller coaster really starts for me. Although in the beginning, yeah, I wasn't pleased with him arguing over the cab. Then he totally blows her off after he sees her with the veil, just assuming that she's gonna be getting married. So that was a real disappointment right there. And she leaves disappointed. She goes back home. She goes back to her museum job where she's hoping to get full curator position. And she's gonna be planning this gala coming up. Well, there's a Hastings Family Foundation that's gonna be supporting the arts. Well, guess who the head of the Hastings Family Foundation is? None other than Peter Hastings. Great. So they're not thrilled about that. Things get even more interesting though when Lacey heads down to the basement of the museum and finds a rare Amici painting. It is in disrepair, it needs to be refurbished. They find someone and they decide that this painting is so good, it's called Portrait of a Bride, by the way, how perfect, that they decide that they're going to get this refurbished in time for the gala and make it the centerpiece of the entire museum gala. So again, Peter and Avery, sparks are flying, they're planning weddings. They're also looking into the history of the portrait because they're both super into art. And you just see like they're this perfect fit, but you know, he thinks she's engaged. She wonders why he's running hot and cold. So it's just very interesting watching this happen where there's such incredible chemistry, but then you can see they're both kind of fighting like, is this a good idea? I should probably rein myself in a little bit. So finally we get to go to Avery's co-worker's wedding. And guess who's at the wedding? Peter. I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. Obviously Peter knows now the wedding that Avery has been planning was her co-workers, not hers. But then we see he's got this gorgeous date, this home wrecker of a date. Turns out it's his cousin. Thank heavens, he finally sits down with her and he says, tell me about your fiance. So she finally gets a chance to say, hey, I'm not really getting married. And that was just a veil that my friends bought me. And by the way, if you buy stuff for a wedding and you're not getting married, isn't that bad luck? I thought so. Has anyone else heard that? I was so thrilled to see that they were finally gonna be able to pursue one another because they knew there were no barriers in their way. At one point, Avery's coworker slash frenemy slash competitor for the full curator position, Jason, he is just the worst. He doesn't give her a message that she really needs because the painting, it's not going well and they're afraid they're not gonna be able to refurbish it in time. And Jason doesn't give her the message. So she has to scramble at the last minute. And then you know what she does? She actually is the bigger person. Of course, Lacey Chabert is the bigger person. She actually winds up helping Jason out because he needs somebody to help lead a children's program at the museum. And who does it but Peter? Peter jumps in. He's always loved working with kids. He's always loved kids. He hasn't really done anything with it because he's been working at the foundation. So he was really excited about helping out, and it was beautiful. So at the gala, so fast forward to the gala, it goes off beautifully. The painting is refurbished, everything is looking great, everyone is so happy, Lacey's looking gorgeous as always, and then she gets a chance to talk to Peter's mom. Well, this is where again it's like, ah! Peter's mom totally overreacts when Avery says that Peter really enjoyed working with the kids. And the mom's like, I guess he doesn't really like the foundation because he really enjoyed working with those kids. Things take a turn for the more irritating when Peter's mom talks to Peter and says, I guess you don't like the foundation enough. And then it gets even worse. Peter then goes to Avery and he's irritated with her for talking with his mom. She's caused all these problems and I felt like he was not treating my Lacey Chabert right, and I was very unhappy with him because I am very protective of her. In any case, it looks like Peter and Avery are over before they even really got a chance to begin. So basically Peter goes off in a huff and Avery's really upset. She does like a Zoom call with her two girlfriends. Every time Autumn Reeser, Alison, Sweeney, and Lacey Chabert are together in a scene, I just loved it. Avery confides in her girlfriends that she doesn't think anything's gonna happen and she wishes the veil had really brought her luck, but it obviously didn't. Anyway, then she goes to work the next day and what do we find but Peter standing in the main room of the museum in front of that beautiful portrait of a bride, holding a dozen red roses, looking so handsome. He apologizes, she accepts, they kiss. Then we fast forward to 8 months later. It's a gorgeous wedding. And of course, the gals are there. I was almost more excited about seeing them, the three of them together again, more so than Avery getting married to Peter, which is terrible, but it was exciting. And then after the lovely wedding, this is my favorite part. They all get together in front of the painting again, and Avery says, get ready, get ready, get ready, goosebump time. She thinks the veil that she's wearing is the same veil that's on the woman in the portrait. Well, we have to find out if this is true. Who's going to Italy? Who could research this? Oh, I know, Autumn Reeser's character. Cut to next movie. So since this movie is technically a LOVEuary movie on Hallmark, I have to ask, did this movie give us Valentine vibes? The answer, no. No. So let's talk about the rom and the rom-com. You know I was gonna do it if you've seen any of my videos before. Yes, please, lots of romance. Oh my gosh, the scene in the garden, them talking, this, as I said, sparks flying, so much chemistry, love, love, love. I thought it was incredible. The two of them together, they need to do more. Although, you know, my favorite is always Lacey and Brennan. Can you say that a hug is sexy? Is that a thing? Is there such a thing? If there is, the hug that they share after they find out that the board has accepted using the Amici in the gala, that hug, sexy hug. And of course, the scene where they are picking out the invitations for the gala, which Avery keeps accidentally saying wedding, and she says, do you think this is the one? And he looks at her and he says, yes, I do. Of course, that was super romantic. That was even in the trailer, so of course we probably saw that already, but oh my gosh, love that scene so much. I also love the scene when Peter and Avery dance at the wedding of her coworker, whose name I have obviously not bothered to figure out. That scene where they're dancing and she puts his head on his shoulder and then he rests his chin on her head. Oh my gosh, I melted. So let's talk about the com and the rom-com. I like to pretend, as you know, the com is cringe or moan. Scenes that made you go, "Argh." So for me, this movie was almost like every other scene was like rom-com. It was like romantic and then irritating and romantic and irritating and aggravating and romantic, and I was just all over the place. Jason really irritated me. I didn't like Jason, and I'm glad he apologized in the end. You needed to apologize, Jason. And also, I'll just say it, I didn't love Peter. I was not a huge Peter fan. He just, I don't know. I mean, he's so aloof so much of the time, and he jumps to conclusions that even as a boyfriend, I think that would be tricky. Hopefully they are just gonna have a lot of open communication, but I could see him being exhausting. So let's talk about the rating. I loved the scenes of the 3 Hallmark stars together, but I will say that because I was not as into the frustrating scenes, I'm gonna give this movie 3 out of 5 hearts. I mean, I hate to say it, but I feel like I wanted someone better for Avery, who was a little bit nicer, and I mean, they grew, but whatever. I found myself not loving this movie quite as much as I thought, but I'm still excited for 2 and 3. Well, that's it for me. If you feel like these videos that I've done have provided any entertainment, any education at all, please consider subscribing, because that actually lets YouTube know that my videos have value, so that's kind of exciting. I've got some links here in case you're looking for some more content, but otherwise, hopefully I will see you again for The Wedding Veil Part 2. Really looking forward to that one. And I love Autumn Reeser, oh my gosh, I always have. Yeah, so please join me for that, and I hope you guys are doing well. And since it's LOVEuary, I'm gonna say I hope you find all your heart desires. Take care, thanks, bye.